index is a measurement of the distribution of the income, wealth of a country or a region of a set of people. It measures how far the distribution is from the perfect equality. To compute the Gini index, one computes always percentage of population compared to percentage of income, for example, where the percentage of income increases from poor to rich. So the perfect equality is where everybody has the same. So 10% of the population will have 10% of the income, 50% of the population, like everybody has everything, so we'll have 50% of the income, similar 70%, and 100%, of course, means the whole population has the whole income. Any other distribution, f of x, will have similar percentage of population compared to percentage of income. As we go from poor to rich, means the poor people have less than what they should under perfect equality. So 10%, for example, and this is an example, 10% of the people have only 1%, 50% of the people have just 5%, 70% of the people have, say, 10%, and again, 100% means everybody has everything. Perfect distribution is when everybody has the same, so 10% is 10%, and in general, X percentage of the population has X percentage of the wealth. So is the curve Y equals to X. So in mathematics, percentages are given by numbers between 0 and 1. So for example, here in our example here will be 0.1, 0.5, 0.7, and 1 corresponds 0.1, 5, 7, and 1, and similarly 0.1, 0.5, 0.7, and 1. This is 1%, which is 0.01, 5%, 0.05, 10%, 0.1, and 100%. So how do you make this graphically? So graphically you have here X, or percentage of population, and the measure you want to do, Y, percentage of income, wealth, whatever you want. 0%, no people have nothing, and 1%, 100%, sorry, has everything, so 1, it's equal to 1. This is Y equals to X. Let's assume now a different one, for example, this red one here, where we call this F, and we have f of 0.1 is 0.01, f of 0.5 is 0.05, and f of 0.7 is 0.1. So this means 10% here we have very little, and this is 0.1 here, and 0.01. Similarly, 0.5 here has very little, 70%, it has a little bit more, but not much, and 100% has everything. So the curve will be something like this. And what we want to measure is how far our distribution f of x is from the perfect distribution y equals to x. We want to measure this area here. This area tells you the area is a measurement of the inequality. How do we do that? Well, we can do with integrals. Because here what we want to measure is this compared to this one here. So it's the sum of all this. This is the difference between the perfect and the not so perfect one. So we want to add up all these differences, which means computing this area. This is y is equals to x, and this is y equals our distribution. So this area will be given as the integral from this point where x equals to 0 up to this limit x equals to 1 of x minus f of x. That's the area, and that's what is almost the Gini index. The Gini index is 2 times this area between 0 and 1 of x minus fx dx. Let's look at a couple of examples. The function is the one given here, 0.75x squared plus 0.25x. So we compute the integral between 0 and 1, which is this area here of x minus this function, 0.75x squared minus 0.25x dx. Remember, is x minus gx, and that's why you have 2 minus there. So that's the integral 0, 1. X minus this is 0.75x minus 0.75x squared dx. I can take the 0.75 out. X minus x squared. So that's 0.75 x squared by 2 minus x3 by 3 between 0 and 1. That's 0.75 x 1/2 minus 1/3, and the other part for 0 is 0, so that's 0.75. 1/2 minus 1/3 is 1/6. 3/4, 1/6. 3/24, and the Gini index will be twice this area, which is 2 times 3/24, which is the same as 6/24, which is 1/4 or 0.25. Let's look at our last example. Our function is obviously more unequal than the previous one. We have more area here, and we compute this area. So the area will be the integral from 0 to 1 of x minus 0.94x to the 4th minus 0.1x to the 5th dx. So that's x squared by 2 minus, sorry, it's not 0.94, it's 0.9 x to the 4th minus 0.9 x to the 5/5 minus 0.1 x to the 6/6 between 0 and 1. For x equals 1, we have 1/2 minus 0.95/5 minus 0.1/6. For x equals 1 minus, for x equals 0, 0 minus 0 minus 0. So that's the answer. So what is the index? The index is 2 times the area, which is 2 times 1/2 minus 0.9/5 minus 0.1/6, and then you take a calculator, and this comes to be approximately 0.606666 blah blah blah. So our first in g of x before we have an index Gini, which was equal to 0.25, and here h of x, the index of Gini, is 0.607. So this is less. Sorry, the music, 1 second. So the distribution is less equal, or less equal is not correct, is more unequal, unequally distributed, meaning there is more inequality here, while here the distribution is better distributed, in the sense that it's more fair, more people get more stuff, if you want to call it. Well, not exactly, sorry for that. Anyway, so we have, to sum up, we have index Gini is 2 times the area between x and your distribution function fx. So that's 2 times the integral between 0 and 1 of x minus fx dx. Index Gini is equal to 0, meaning everybody gets the same thing, same income or wealth for every person. Index Gini equals to 1 means one person gets everything, and the rest of the people get nothing. Why is that? Because this case is when the distribution is like this, so the area is 0, and this case is when the distribution is like this. Everybody 0, and suddenly one person gets everything. This area is the area of a triangle, which is base times height divided by 2, 1/2. So the index is 2 times the area. So 2 times 1/2 is 1. So this is what you need to remember, how to compute the index. And this is the important thing of how to interpret the index. Okay, so the smaller the index, the smaller e.g., the better distribution, or the more distributed the wealth, the income, the richness of the country. Index G equals to 0, all have the same. Index Gini equals to 1 means one person has all. And that's all for today.